What's up, folks? Your buddy Fatalroadie. Tonight we're going to be doing a Raw recap. We started off with Mr. No-Show in the Bank coming out with Paul Heyman. We have a recap of last night's men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Cut back to the arena. The crowd is not having any of this. Heyman talks about the debacle with Brock Lesnar winning the Money in the Bank match. He says that Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston need to be looking over their shoulders. Seth Rollins then comes out. He talks about his stellar match at Money in the Bank and that he's in disgust that Brock Lesnar is holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. He tells Lesnar to be a man and cash in right now. Heyman says that Lesnar will cash in when he feels like it, which basically will be never. Heyman then goads on Rollins about his relationship with Becky Lynch. This causes a standoff between Lesnar and Rollins. Heyman then hints on a cash in on Kingston, which of course brings out Kofi. He tells Lesnar to cash it in on him. Heyman says apparently Kofi and Rollins have matches tonight and that Brock Lesnar will be sticking around. Wow, shocker. Usually he's gone in the first 10 minutes. We then cut backstage with Mick Foley arriving, and he's holding the new champion belt that'll be announced tonight. And then later, Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston run into Triple H, and they're told that there's going to be a main event with them in a tag team match against Bobby Lashley and Baron Corbin.
What the fuck?
Wow, great. We then have our first match of the night, Braun Strowman versus Sami Zayn. Before the match even starts, Sami Zayn runs out, tries to escape through the crowd and through the backstage area, being chased by Braun Strowman. Backstage, Strowman runs into Bobby Lashley. This distracts him enough to get a sucker punch from Sami Zayn. Strowman continues to fight with Zayn all the way through the gorilla position and out onto the stage. Once everybody gets back into the ring, the match starts. This is pretty quick. A short beatdown, a power slam, and Braun Strowman gets the pin. We then have an in-ring interview with Lars Sullivan. We get another recap of his path to destruction. Before anything happens with this interview, the Lucha House Party come out. They start a fight with Sullivan, actually knocking him out of the ring. But of course, the Lucha House Party get cocky and end up paying for it. All three of them get slammed. We then have Ricochet versus Cesaro. This is an okay match, really wasn't much to it. An injured Ricochet tries for a top rope move, but ends up getting an uppercut from Cesaro, who gets the pin. Next we have Roman Reigns coming out. He's shortly followed by Shane McMahon. McMahon says that he's done with The Miz and that he's setting his focus on Reigns. Roman then calls him out, and Shane says he's going to leave it to the crowd. They say yes, but Shane bitches out. Shocker. Then Drew McIntyre comes out, and Shane says that their match will happen at the Super Showdown. Wow, another blockbuster. And then Shane and Drew walk off. I really don't know what Drew McIntyre had anything to do with this, but okay. We then have the Usos versus the Revival. As soon as the Revival gets into the ring, they quickly start fighting with the Usos. Dawson and Wilder had most of the offense to this match. It heated up for a second with the Uso comeback, but Dawson rolled up Jimmy, grabbing hold of his tights, and gets the pin. We then have an episode of Firefly Funhouse. This one started with a rather creepy intro, and then a quick flash of Bray Wyatt wearing his mask, saying, "Let me in." We then have a moment of sleep with Alexa Bliss and a Nikki Cross. After doing that whole "I don't have any coffee out here" bit again, she introduces her guest, Becky Lynch. Before anything is started, the Iconics come out. They start running down Becky Lynch. Lynch retorts that she'll drag both of them out to the ring, and then she'll be Becky 3 belts. Lacey Evans then comes out, and she says she's the reason that Becky isn't Becky 2 belts anymore. Lynch says that she'll slap all three of their heads off. Nikki Cross says that she'll join her, and then Becky Lynch drafts Alexa Bliss into the matter. So this is our next match, the Iconics and Lacey Evans versus Becky Lynch, Nikki Cross, and Alexa Bliss, who's sitting at ringside drinking coffee. This is a match. Halfway through, Lacey Evans just walks off, and Becky Lynch gets the pin on Billie Kay. Okay. Next we got Mick Foley coming out for the new title reveal. Foley says that Raw needs to get Raw again. And then he introduces the 24/7 championship that will be defended anytime, anywhere, and in any place. The crowd has pretty much little to no reaction to this. This is basically just a cleaned up version of the hardcore title. Foley says that the title will be open to anybody in the WWE, regardless of show, 205 Live, NXT, NXT UK, Raw, SmackDown, everybody. He says he's going to be putting the belt in the ring, the bell will sound, and whoever grabs it first will be the first champion. So he steps out, bell rings, and the entire loser locker room comes running out fighting. It ends up with Titus O'Neil grabbing it. As he's celebrating up on the ramp, he gets pinned by Robert Roode. He grabs the belt, runs off, followed by the rest of the loser locker room. Keep in mind to this, I'll be following this up a little bit later. We then have The Miz versus Drew McIntyre with Shane McMahon at ringside. I guess Drew McIntyre is now one of Shane McMahon's lackeys. This is a match. Shane McMahon interferes quite a bit, allowing Drew McIntyre to get the Claymore kick and the pin. McIntyre sets The Miz up for a coast-to-coast by Shane McMahon. Then Roman Reigns comes out for the save. He cleans house, and McIntyre and McMahon run off. Backstage, Roode is chased by half the locker room. R-Truth saves him by hiding him into a trunk. R-Truth pulls him out, tells him to get into the limo, but inside the limo was a referee. R-Truth pins him, is now the new 24/7 champion, and drives off. Now we come to the main event we've all been waiting for. Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin and Botchy Lashley. It's announced at the beginning of this match that this is a no DQ match. Okay, I guess we can see where this is going. Before the match even starts, Corbin and Lashley jump Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston. This is pretty much an end match, as you can probably guess. The heels pick apart the faces. After a Bobby Lashley botch, shocker, Kofi Kingston gets to Trouble in Paradise on Baron Corbin for the pin. After the match, Lashley lays out Rollins and Kingston with a chair. And with 2 minutes left in the show, Brock Lesnar comes out. He circles the ring, makes like he's going to get in the ring, but jumps back out. Then Paul Heyman says next week we'll decide who we're going to go after. Like this is going to save WWE's sinking ratings. For Money in the Bank Fallout show, this was I really wasn't crazy about it. There wasn't really much in the way of a good match. The introduction to the cleaned up hardcore title was okay, but I really don't see it being a solution to WWE's problems. Definitely the fact that Money in the Bank is now sitting on Brock Lesnar is not a savior as well. I don't know why Vince McMahon thinks he's a draw. He's not. But we're just going to have to see what happens on SmackDown. But that'll do it for this episode of Raw Recap. Leave a comment down below what you thought of tonight's Raw, what you thought of this video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to share and subscribe. I've been Fatalroadie. You've been awesome. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, if it's too loud, you're too old. See ya.